maybe, yeah. Yes, yes, it is. So, where should I put it? Because I will need mostly to see you, so I shouldn't block it too much. Because I will just do like this, because then it's not like you don't see yourself.
That's fine.
Good. And I have a few things written down just to remember a few things I want to get around, but it's not at all mandatory because it's actually supposed to be an open interview. So now starting the recording. Good.
What program is that?
What?
What program is that?
This is an MP3 recorder because my phone records in MP4 waveform.
Okay.
And that always is an issue when I need to use it on the computer. I think my microphone is down here. I will actually just make a test to see if I can hear it.
Okay.
Because that would be a shame after half an hour. Okay. Alright, I think that's fine. Put it more towards the middle, and maybe if I note something down, it's just to have like a timestamp. I don't know. Yeah, she has something. If there's something I need to remember. Good. Yes. Alright. So, good day. My name is Astrid. And I have with me in the interview
Jennifer Costales.
Yes, and I can also change the name later. It's just so that I have something.
Okay.
Yes, or just call you interviewee. Okay. Yes. All right. So the interview is going to be about half an hour, and just recording it to transcribe it later, and will just be accessible for me and the teacher, basically, in our intranet, so it's also not going to make its way to YouTube or something like that.
Alright, good.
Yes. Yeah. First of all, maybe you could tell me a little bit about your cultural origin, where you grew up, and why you are here.
I'm from the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I am from Chicago, which
Yeah.
is in the middle of the
Yeah.
United States. I've been here just about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I came for my work. I work at the International Criminal Court. I'm a stenographer.
Yes. All right. And from the United States, and you've lived there your whole life, or you've been living
Yes,
in
my whole
different
life.
countries? All right.
This is my first time abroad.
All right. How was that for you, being abroad from the States?
Really, really interesting.
Yes.
I only wish I did it earlier in my life.
Yeah. I mean, not to say there's anything or a right time in the life to do it. Maybe the right time is now.
Yep. For me, maybe.
I'm happy at least that I have an early experience so that I can evaluate if I want to do it again. Yes, so you're a native English speaker.
Yes.
And you have other languages?
I'm learning French.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I had 3 years of German,
Mm-hmm.
and I can read a menu in Spanish.
All right. Wow. I can just say, see. Sangria, or is that even Spanish to say? I don't know. Very well. And Dutch, do you understand a little or can read a little by now?
I might be able to read a menu in Dutch as well,
Mhm.
and I know a few words, but
Yeah.
I've been learning French here because it's the official language of the court and not Dutch.
All
If
right,
if I didn't have to learn French for work, I think I would have learned Dutch. And
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that I couldn't, but
Mhm.
I had only so much capacity.
Of course, and you spent the majority of your day in your work environment.
Right.
So they actually, like, it operates in French, or
Dual.
Okay. Okay.
Two official languages,
All
French
right.
and English.
simultaneously with the translation?
Yes.
Or, okay. Wow.
So we have two teams, an English
Yeah.
court reporting team and a French court reporting team.
Okay.
And we make a transcript in both languages every day with interpreters.
And it also opens up more for you if you can understand French, I gather, like where you will be applicable maybe?
Learning French, a lot of the cases at the ICC involve a lot of French speaking. And so even in the English transcript, there's a lot of French words. So it helped me immensely to learn as much as I could while working. So
and so for example, receiving government papers like from the authorities, they usually come in Dutch, at least mine do, and you're able to understand them, or
with Google Translate.
Yes. All right. Yes. Yeah. You get to see many of the same words.
Yeah, I can't really look at full documents and really know what they're talking about.
Okay.
I use Google Translate.
Yeah. It's also a bit far from English.
Although they're both Germanic languages.
Yes. Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. True. There's an old, they did come from the same.
Well, I think when I first arrived, it was all unintelligible to me.
Yeah, you couldn't even understand sounds.
Right. But now, I had a friend of mine who is English speaker. Actually, he's Czech. But he said to me, and he knew I had a little bit of German background, and he said, if you really just say the words as you see them, they're a lot more similar to English than, it's not really so foreign.
Yeah.
And so if you just read it phonetically, it's actually closer to English.
Exactly.
It's once he told me to do that, I was like, yeah. It doesn't maybe look like English at first blush, but when you read it, it's comprehensive. You can understand it, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what this is.
Especially if you try to read it without the Dutch, and all this, then it will seem
I can
similar.
definitely, I think I can understand more reading than I can hearing.
Yeah.
In Dutch.
That's the same for me, I think. For most, I would imagine. Yes. So I wrote, what is your motivation to come here? But that was work. So you came here with your family, or how was the situation for you?
So I'm married, and I have 3 children.
Yeah.
My older 2 were in university in the U.S., and they stayed home.
Yeah.
My husband stayed home as well. I had a 2-year contract, and my youngest son came with me to go to school in The Hague, at the American school. And my son in high school at The Hague, in the American school at The Hague, loved it. And my husband, who was visiting me, he loved it as well. And then after 2 years, he finally came, and I extended my contract. Yeah. So my husband came, and he was here with me for 3 years. My son was here for high school for 4 years, and my other 2 children just visit.
Yeah. All right. That seems like a good kind of compromise.
It worked for us.
Now it's just about if you continue liking it and if the opportunities are there. All right. So briefly, if you could kind of think of what have been your best and worst experiences living in the Netherlands. They don't have to be very elaborate because it can be very personal, but maybe there are some interesting things.
The best. Boy, I wouldn't say any.
Positive.
Oh, I love the museums. I love the art. I love the festivals. There's a lot of festivals in The Hague. I go to almost all of them, and the markets, and I take every opportunity I can because we're so kind of centrally located.
Yeah.
Or maybe not centrally located because we're a little bit north of a lot, but it's so easy connected with the trains and Schiphol Airport, and so I try to go and see as much as I can. I love the bikes. Yes. I never got a car. I mean, periodically, very rarely, I would rent a car if I needed it to travel for holiday, or if I had to go pick my son up at an odd time and didn't want to rely on buses or trains. But I just love living on a bike for 5 years. And the worst, I don't really think there's like a bad worst. I would say that sometimes I feel the Dutch that live in Den Haag could be a little, what's the word? They're not open to relationships, I think. And I can understand why, because half of the people that live in The Hague are not from here.
Yes.
And are not staying here.
Expats.
So if you're a Dutch person, why invest yourself in somebody who's leaving, kind of. So I feel that's a little unfortunate, because I've met Dutch people and they're friendly and they're inquisitive and they're nice, but I was never able to really have a close relationship with a Dutch person. And so maybe that could be a negative thing for me. I wish maybe that I had a closer relationship with Dutch people, but it's okay.
It's interesting. I think that's a very true notion, at least also with everyone I know of either exchange students or longer time expats. It's really, maybe because we are in The Hague especially, maybe it would be different in one of the other bigger cities, but I can get behind the thought of why investing, but then again, I'm always thinking kind of, but it opens up opportunities in wherever the person returns to in the world. But I don't know. That's
my thinking about why it happens. Maybe there's another reason that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because we need to get to know them even better, the Dutch, to understand. All right. Then my next question will be a little health related. First, I will talk more personally and maybe more than institutionally. So first, if you could talk a little bit about what health means for you, or what does health, what is the meaning of health for you?
For me, good health means good diet, exercise, good mental health, and a general well-being. Yeah. That's health to me.
And so with a general well-being, is there something specific you try to do in your daily life?
Well, I when I first got here, I tried to join a health club, but it was more Dutch, and I didn't, and it was a little further away, and my son was younger, and I had a lot of reasons to not go. But I always cycled a lot. I would, in the evening, I'd come home, I'd make dinner, and especially in the summer, it's so late, so late. After dinner, I'd wash the dishes, finish dinner, my son would go study, and I'd jump on my bike and go to the beach, and then cycle to the pier and back, and I would do that a couple nights a week.
Yeah.
So I would do that instead of the health club. Now that my son is gone at the university, I joined a health club that I adore. It's and I go there regularly. When my husband was here, he worked later, and it gave me a very open schedule. So usually after work, I'd go there and do an hour of a class, and either yoga or weightlifting or spinning or I love going to that health club. It's really nice. So I think exercise-wise, I think I try to keep it a regular part of my life.
Yeah.
And diet, I just keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
Try to.
So, did you used to go to health clubs in the States as well, or is it different?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. All right. Yes, and so, but the main change is maybe the biking, or did you have biking opportunities where you lived?
I had biking, but in Chicago we have hard winters.
Oh yeah.
And actually we have
lots of wind, right?
And snow and ice. It's like 20 below zero today in Chicago with snow, or goes up and down, cold and snow, and you can't really bike in the winter at all.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. It's not safe. It's really not doable. So we didn't, and they don't have the safe bike paths
Yeah.
and things that they have here. It's not as
So
safe.
for daily transportation, it's not really an option.
No, it wasn't. Getting better, but far from what they have here.
Yes. But there's also long distances, so I think there's probably a lot of different things about why it is.
In Chicago, there's a lot of traffic, and so it's just without bike paths, it's not safe.
No. Let's hope that it will change.
It is truly, but there's a lot. They've done a lot here over many years, and so countries have that want to emulate what they do here. It's going to take a long time, but I hope we can.
It's hard to build it into an already existing structure. Like sometimes you even have to redo the whole road structure to do it. I think. It's also bad, for example, in the countrysides in Denmark. Like, I used to grow up in a place where we would have such little space to ride on a road where people would be driving 80, 90 kilometers an hour. Really bad.
Yeah.
So, I also love the structured city. Yes, let's see. So, alright, so on the contrary, what is for you kind of feeling unhealthy, or what is being sick for you? Like when, at what point, kind of? It's a strange question.
What is the opposite of health?
What is the opposite of health for you?
Well, not exercising is bad health for me. Having bad diet where I'm eating lots of cakes and carbs and sugars and or when I eat excessive quantities or excessive fried foods, or those are all for me bad examples of bad health.
Yeah. All right. Yes.
And it doesn't feel good.
No. So that does something to your mental well-being, maybe. Okay. Is there? Now I have to think. Is there like I've wrote indigenous food, but maybe like traditional food from your home country that you still like to eat, or which is special for you while being here?
Not really. I mean, I can make all my recipes here pretty much. I'm not prohibited from. I don't think they have very good Mexican food here, which I miss terribly. But other than that, they can pretty much get or make everything.
Yeah.
So.
And is there like special like habits or rituals that are kind of related to certain holidays in the States? Like, is Thanksgiving special for you? And about the food, like, do you make it the traditional way, or is it different when you're here?
Yes. It's not so easy to get a turkey, and it's turkey or Thanksgiving is a big feast. It's not just a meal; it's a feast. But I have a friend here in the Netherlands who invited other Americans and had a very traditional Thanksgiving meal, for which I was very grateful. So that was very nice. But my son and I, because Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday, and here it's not a holiday, so he had school, I had work, and we decided that there was a Mexican restaurant that we went to for Thanksgiving every year. We did that for like 4 years. We'd go. It wasn't American, but it was as close as we could come to a turkey dinner and be happy.
Yeah.
Like, it was just about like, let's celebrate as close as we can get, and we couldn't really find a turkey dinner easy or close that we wanted to go to.
No.
So that was our tradition while I'm here, to go to a Mexican restaurant for Thanksgiving. That's
nice. I think that's because it's maybe like then not about the food in that moment, but the feeling it brings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very nice. So you would say overall there's not big changes in your diet, or some?
The only
maybe
thing,
nudged by Dutch eating
the only thing I would
potatoes.
say is that when I first came here, the smaller quantities was a bit surprising to me. But
Do
now,
you mean that in like takeout or?
yeah, restaurants and quantities were much smaller. That plate serving sizes were much smaller, and it was surprising at first. But of course, it's healthier and better for you to eat less.
Yeah.
And the obesity rate in the United States is proof of that.
Yes.
So I guess I'm grateful to the Netherlands for having this learning opportunity about serving size and portion size, because that's one of the big problems in the U.S.
Yeah. Do you think that's something where like you literally have to visualize it for people before it makes sense for them to say you need to eat less?
Maybe, because I didn't really think I was overeating, but come here and servings are smaller, and the truth is, we don't have to have giant plates falling over, or have 3 servings, or drink a bucket of anything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what's going on in the U.S. is very unhealthy. And I mean, I knew a lot of things that I didn't, bad behaviors for eating that I didn't do. I knew that. But, when the portion size of a regular meal and serving is smaller here, and it was surprising.
It's hard to also really, because I think that's, at least in most places in the States, it's like it's a cultural thing in the sense that it's basically like it's been like that for so long, so you don't question it maybe,
or it's probably getting worse.
Societally nudged,
I think more people, maybe I don't know, more people. It's
getting worse.
Let me say it's a prosperous time.
Yeah.
And so maybe people have more, they spend more, they eat more, and maybe it's all just a consequence of prosperity.
Yeah.
And then it becomes habits, and more is better.
Yeah.
And bigger is better. And I mean, there are some, like the big giant drinks is the perfect example of like how things are out of control.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it's not just supersized at McDonald's. It's across the board.
Right?
It's across the board.
And also, if you see that out in the public space, that's what you bring home. That's what you might do at home as well. Or
well, I mean, I just think that the giant portions is the norm.
Yeah.
And so people are eating more because they think it's normal.
Without questioning it.
Yeah, and I think coming here and being served much smaller portions and realizing that I didn't shrivel and die, and it's much more healthy, like that is one of the big things that I could take away, and that America really needs to wake up to. Yeah. Obesity is killing people, and it's because they're eating too much, and they're eating the wrong things, and they're drinking buckets of sugared drinks, and I don't know how they're going to stop it, but if they don't, they're in for short lifespan, and it's very sad.
Yeah, that's my field, and I'm gonna be working with health implementations for the rest of my life. So that's a question I will keep in my mind, because it's definitely something that needs to change.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's not only in America anymore. It's also like now these cultures where they have never had access to these kind of foods anymore, and suddenly like they don't know even how to control that because it's becoming the most affordable food, for example. So that's very interesting. And then let's see. I'm gonna take a small break to see where I'm at. Alright, so actually one question to open about these kind of norms and accepted behavior and all this. Before that, I would want to ask, like, have you experienced or I'm sure you have, so I'm gonna ask, like, what is the most prejudice or commonly misconception about Americans you have experienced here? Maybe a few.
Well, Americans have a bad reputation for being the loudest in the room, for being obnoxious. Like tourists in groups, you can usually hear and see the Americans for bad behavior. And unfortunately, it's kind of true. I've done a lot of traveling. I feel sometimes in the Netherlands, there's the when people hear you're American, there might be an upcharge.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I don't think is very nice, but
No.
There it is.
Yeah. How do you experience that?
Like I would say, in the sense of like rent,
Mm-hmm.
I think Dutch people find cheaper rents,
Yeah.
and Americans find
Yes.
much more expensive rents. That's
I've
how.
had that feeling as well.
Yeah.
Like,
So maybe it's not just Americans. Maybe
but
it's all expats.
yeah, all expats from Western
yeah.
countries probably.
Yeah.
But some more than others, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like
There's one.
an upcharge or like a different behavior around you because you're not Dutch and they think, oh, we can get something out of them, or
I see it more in like, rents and things
Yeah.
like that. Things like that.
okay.
Or here, I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
In a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning,
Mhm.
the Dutch don't like to put water on the table,
Yeah.
which I find highly offensive
Mhm.
because this is a country that comes from water,
Yeah.
and they're so stingy with it. It's really curious to me.
Mhm.
And in America, you can have a water fountain, a drinking fountain everywhere.
Yeah.
Free water
Yeah.
everywhere. When you sit at a restaurant, they bring you glasses of water
Mhm.
continuously. You can drown at a table in a restaurant in America with just water. They'll bring you all the free water you want.
Okay.
And I pay for water. I pay taxes
Mhm.
here. And so when I ask for tap water at a restaurant, they say no. You have to buy bottled water.
Yes.
That's highly offensive to me.
Or you have to pay for tap water with something in it. So
I was
that they
here
can
with my
charge it,
father
like
one
ice
time.
or something.
I was here with my father one time, and he said, "May I please have a glass of water? I need to take a pill."
Yeah.
They brought him a shot glass.
What?
I swear, I can't make this stuff up.
Oh.
Or I went
That is
to
funny.
my son was running track, and I went to they had a beautiful athletic club where it's privately run for track and field. There was no drinking fountain. How is this possible at a sports facility?
Yeah, that's not even safe.
Right?
I would say.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's crazy.
even in the health club. Well, I have some. The water thing kind of ticks me off, but
Yeah, that is actually a thing I never thought of. That's very
it
interesting.
really is offensive to me
Yeah.
and curious.
Mhm.
These people come from water.
Yeah.
They live in the ocean,
Yeah.
and yet they're so stingy with the water, and
Yes.
that's not nice.
I think we have a little bit of it in Denmark, but I've always been against it as a waitress. I blame people anyways. But I think it's very true here. It's really like, it's so, yeah, it's really missing.
I mean, they just want to charge you, but everyone, I think it's a human right
Yeah,
to water.
absolutely.
Same with the air.
Absolutely.
But water, I think it's a human right, okay? Maybe they give you a cup
But
and
it's
all,
because it's possible to monetize water. So.
and I can see the Dutch families have tap water.
Yeah.
But the expats have to buy bottled water.
Okay, yeah, so there's an actual difference in the service. But
now that I've been here longer, I'm perfectly happy to say I would like tap water.
Yeah.
And then if they say, would you like to buy still or sparkling? I say, no, I would like tap water.
Yeah.
So you have to be very assertive, which you shouldn't have to be.
No, but I think that's at least what I gathered is that that's what Dutch people say about themselves, that they are very direct and assertive. So maybe they just need to taste their own medicine or something like that. But would you say that that's, does that feel unnatural to you to be assertive?
No, that doesn't bother me at all. I think Americans are direct and assertive, so that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Apparently Russians are as well.
Yeah, I think so.
And I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I have more problem with people who pretend to be overly nice.
Yeah.
When underneath they're not at all. Yeah, I have more problem with that.
Yes, absolutely, because you cannot see through it, whereas you know what you get from someone who's being direct.
I prefer direct and assertive. I don't have any problem with that.
Yes.
It's funny sometimes, because you're not always used to it. But, maybe a little less assertive.
You cannot know if they're joking at some point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So a little bit about your experiences with Dutch healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming after around 5 years that you have had some.
But I will say that I had a plan.
Yeah.
That I was going to stay healthy.
Yes.
And I wasn't going to see a doctor.
Exactly.
And pretty much that's what happened with me.
Yeah.
But I was here with my son and my husband, so I've been to the doctor with them.
All right.
But for myself, my plan worked.
Yes.
I'm leaving in 6 weeks, and I haven't had to see a doctor here.
That's pretty good. And not having seen a doctor while being back in the States.
Well, I did some, like a mammogram.
Yeah.
And, I did see a dermatologist.
Yeah.
Because I have light skin, so I like to have a skin check.
Of course.
But
for the other things, you wanted to be in the American system, or in the in your journal, in your American journal, maybe.
It just worked out.
Yeah.
So I didn't participate. I didn't dive into the Dutch medical system.
All right.
But I did attend a few appointments with my husband and with my son.
Yeah. And how was it? Was it easy enough to figure out what to do, or what was the experience around that?
Mostly yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to get over the language.
Yeah.
But Dutch speaks such excellent English, really.
Yes.
Most of the time, especially in this region, it hasn't really been a problem at all.
Yeah. And do you feel that there's any differences in the way that, like I gather that will have been like general practitioner or something like that?
So
and
we
how
had
it's organized.
Well, we had international insurance with the international court, so you don't have to follow strictly the Dutch system with that.
So it's private sector you've been seeing, or?
I mean, you go through the Dutch doctors and hospitals. I didn't go to the International Health Center.
Yeah.
I did go to their doctors and hospitals, but I don't need to follow strictly their protocols and their rules because I have this insurance. So I can go directly to a specialist.
All right.
I don't have to go to the PG or the GP, house art, and work my way. You don't have to do that as much with our insurance. So, but like, my husband had an injury. My husband has diabetes, and their care was top notch all the way. My son had a few incidents where he went to the hospital, and his care was perfect, and or just little things like dermatology, acne. His care was perfect. No complaints. I think the care here is very good.
Yes. And how do you feel it compares to American care?
I think it's.
You have
I think their system is better here. I think it's less expensive. I think it's more accessible.
Yeah.
I think more people are covered. People here do not talk or stress about health insurance in the way that they do in the United States. The United States system is, the care is excellent, I think, in the U.S. in most instances, but the insurance is a nightmare in the U.S. So if you have a good job and you have a good insurance, you don't have as much of the nightmare, but everybody else is treading carefully. It's complicated and it's expensive, and it's really sad for many people.
Yeah, and it can create an even further gap between people because health can really set someone back socially and economically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say that you feel like it is cheaper, it is the actual like out of pocket expenditure for individuals and households.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I think that makes sense. Yes.
Everything we hear in the U.S. is that socialized medicine is bad and it's terrible and people are miserable. And all I've experienced is the exact opposite. It's wonderful. People are happy, and people don't even think about their health here or their insurance or a bankruptcy from a big illness.
Yeah.
Destroying a family's finances. No.
From surgery.
Doesn't happen here.
Like that.
No, doesn't happen here.
I think there's like, I mean, maybe you would have to then experience like the Danish system because it's even more socialized, obviously. And there you will have like the negative vibe from people, like because the waiting time is horrible for certain things, and people like the health workers sometimes really have to rush through things because it's getting like the financial support is getting like cut down and cut down and cut down. So I think I also would agree that the Dutch system is kind of like, it's a good balance because it works a lot on your insurances, where it's like basically for everyone 100% government run insurance, but you can choose to usually through your work opt in on private coverage or something like that.
I just don't know too much about the Dutch insurance because we have this international insurance.
And at least what I gathered is that usually it works through like either a combination or something like that. I'm not sure either. All right. So you didn't experience that whole level of bureaucracy in the dealing with the healthcare system. I gather.
I'm pleasantly surprised with the healthcare system here.
Yes.
It's especially if you're very sick. There's top professionals here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be concerned. I have a small concern with getting past the gatekeeper, which is the househeart or the GP.
Yeah.
I think you have to be very direct and assertive to get past them to get to the specialist. But once you break through that, I think the specialists in this country are amazing.
Yeah. So you need to really like communicate that you need this.
You have to self-advocate for sure.
Okay. And do you feel like that is different from in America, or was it just a fact for you that that's how it is?
No, it's different, I think. I mean, it's very common here to be given paracetamol and said to go home and have a cup of tea or something.
Yes. No matter what it is,
yeah,
if you feel it.
Right. I mean, paracetamol seems to be the drug of choice in this country,
Yeah.
which is a bit surprising to me. So, like, but then again, we have a drug problem in my country. So, this is like the extreme, and we're the other extreme. So
maybe that's a way of looking at it. All right. So we talked about your impression of the quality of care and coverage. So maybe also like, what is for you like the criteria for you in terms of like when is it good care? What does it need to provide for you to be good health care?
well, I think that as long as you're given all the tests that you think are necessary to be sure that something isn't more serious, or that you're given access to the testing and the medicine that you need in order to be well.
Yeah.
You know? And I think I've seen that here.
Yes.
They're very concerned with giving you everything you need to make sure that you are safe and healthy. So I don't have any complaints.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. All right. So let's see. Do you? I guess this is just. It's really just a little bit about the kind of cross-cultural interaction between you or your husband or son while at the doctor, whether you feel like the communication is a bit different than it would be between a doctor at home and them.
No, I didn't have any problems. Yeah. I didn't have any problems at all. English spoken here is clear, is very good. The ease of communication is good. No problems at all. Yeah. That was not a problem at all for me here.
I also guess it's not like there are cultural differences, but it's not like the huge groundbreaking difference that makes it.
If anything, I think the Dutch doctors I've experienced have been very approachable, very open to conversation. Yeah. Sometimes in the U.S., they're like you said, your time is limited, your interaction is limited, and they gotta go. They're in a hurry to go to the next patient, and then in the U.S. But whereas here, I think I've found whatever you need, we'll give you.
Okay.
So
that's good to hear. Yes. Let's see. Now I don't have so much left, but I have a few things about. I asked you the questions like when do you feel healthy? What is sickness for you? Maybe we can also talk about what is being happy for you.
Happy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
or what is happiness? When do you feel happy?
When my family is healthy and happy, when my work is satisfying and meaningful, when I'm able to see new things and do new things and eat new things and experience new things, all brings me happiness.
Yeah. So, what is you mentioned work satisfaction? What is that then for you?
What makes me happy at work? I like to be challenged. I like to work hard. There's also a balance. Yeah. You don't want to work 24 hours a day, and that hasn't happened here at all. So that can the fact that work can be challenging and good, but then still it ends at a reasonable time, and you go home to your family and have a full family life. I think in the evening and the weekends, and you can separate the two. That's a good work-life balance, and that brings happiness. And general well-being.
And so, in terms of separating your work life and private life, now we are here with your colleagues. Does it interfere with that, or is that kind of still you're able to kind of not think of this as a work thing?
Oh, this isn't work at all. This is just girlfriends.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what is success for you? What does success mean for you in your life?
Success. Having work that gives you enough income to live and afford what you need and save a little more for your future, and to be able to afford what you want to do, like travel and it also means being able to do that and be happy and spend time with your family. I suppose it's a form of success to stay happily married, to have my 3 children who are going on with their life in an independent, successful way at their stages. I think this success for me is that, you know, 2 of my children have graduated university. One is in a good university. They're all happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy. My husband's happy. We're happily married. I have extended family. He has extended family.
Yeah.
We are healthy. We are, you know, able to afford our lives, and this to me is success.
Yes, that's a good view, I think, or it's a nice view. Do you think that's general for many Americans, or do you think it's more personal for you?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Yep.
More Americans, but
Yeah.
certainly personal for me.
Yes, definitely. Or do you think it would apply also, for example, for the members in your family? Or maybe they...
Yeah, I think so.
Of course, hard to say from others, but...
I think so. I mean, I don't want to judge anybody and say, I view success as being happily married, and therefore if you're divorced, you're unsuccessful.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say that.
Of course not.
But for
it's
me...
what applies for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yes. So, in terms of success and these things, like that you are, that success being in a good place in your life, basically, do you feel like that is that you arrive at that place from what you put into it, like the work you put into it, or do you feel like it's more maybe like the deterministic view of that it's supposed to be that way for you and it's been decided? Or maybe it can be a mix.
I work hard. I always work hard.
Yeah.
I think that there's a certain element of chance in life and fortune, good fortune, bad fortune, and it's there. And I have been blessed with good health, and I think there's a bit of fate and how things come together and the people that you meet, and so I heard a lecture just yesterday, I think, that said women attribute success to luck, men attribute success to their own self, their own, and women can attribute failure to their own shortcomings, and men contribute failure to bad luck.
Oh, that's even more interesting. The whole picture of that. That's kind of that's funny. Yeah,
I mean, but it's true. You
it
know,
really says something about our kind of values and beliefs in that sense as men and women.
Right.
Do you remember where you heard that from?
I heard it at work.
Okay.
There was a guest lecturer. She's teaching in the Hague lectures. She's from. Where is she from? It was called Women in Justice or Gender Equality in International Humanitarian Law or something like that.
Okay.
She was a professor. French. She's French, I think.
Okay.
A French professor. So she was speaking all about women in injustice systems around the world and the inequalities, and it was very interesting.
That sounds nice. Yeah. It's really something that I will remember, this thing. I think it's true to very many people.
Yeah. And it needs to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially for women.
Yeah. Yeah, because it does something to what we set out to do, and what we feel like we can strive for.
It diminishes our feeling of, if a woman attributes their success to luck, it diminishes all their work.
Yeah.
That's wrong. My 2 cents.
Let's see. I have a last thing here. I just need to read exactly what I wrote. All right. This was kind of in preparing for also maybe interviewing your colleague from Venezuela, but I'm going to ask you this as well, just in case it could be. So it was whether you also seek help from other health practitioners that are maybe operating in alternative medicine.
No, because I'm not. My plan was to see no medical specialists at all, but I'm not opposed to it. And I you know, if acupuncture or Chinese herbal teas would help me, and I was sick and ailing and in pain, I would do it. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm just going the no healthcare route at the moment, so I'm not seeing one Western or Eastern or anyone.
All right. Do you ever do this where if you sense that there is maybe a symptom on something, or you feel a little weak a day or something, will you ever like go on the good old Google doctor or?
Oh sure. I check Google.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And what does it do to you when you're in that process?
Well, I check it for a lot of reasons. You know, I was just checking it last week. I helped Rosalind type up her notes from the nurse, the oncologist, the chemo nurse practitioner, all the directions. I type them up. So of course I don't know chemo drug names and spellings or you know, other medications and things. So I was on Google for that. Just today, a friend was talking, and where I work, it's very international. So when they say something with a Spanish accent, I don't always know what it means. So I was looking up a bacterial infection in the gastrointestine, and on Google, like, we can talk more equally and understand each other better.
All right.
Yeah.
So that does help, and I guess that's the same whether you're here in the States. I mean,
the Google is everywhere.
The Google is everywhere, exactly. It's even in small old phones out in the
everywhere
rural areas of some country. Yeah,
it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. All right. I think I will be able to gather something from this, and it's gonna be like the goal is to have kind of an insight into how a person from another culture experienced the Dutch healthcare. It's a little different for me because I didn't have an experience myself. So
you're on the same program I am.
Exactly. So I will probably dig more into kind of like overall experiences and health views. But I'm sure that there's enough. And yes, I thank you very much. No, I knew that already because it was just a minimum of half an hour, and then all right, then I can take what I need from it. I just need to check. All right. Yeah, it's working. Perfect. That's good. And then this should be working as well. Thank you so much.
All right. Are you going to come eat?
Yes, I think I will just stay for another
little while.
Yes, if